right, we're recording. Just give me one more second. Yeah.
Cool. This gets transcribed for the web, right?
It does, but also manager might want to use parts of it for a podcast. But
okay, cool. Cool.
All right, let's start with the beginning. What's your full name?
My full name is Bisco Smith. Bisco Smith.
And what name do you use as an artist?
Same thing, Bisco Smith.
Okay. Where are you from?
I live and work in Queens and I'm New England, basically. So born in Mass, raised in Connecticut, moved to New York in the 90s, and did a little time in LA, and now I'm back in New York.
Which languages do you speak?
Just English. I'm so American, it's terrible. I wish I spoke more.
Me too.
You ever hear the saying, like, if you speak 3 languages, you're trilingual. If you speak 2, you're bilingual. If you speak 1, you're American.
Yep.
That's how our ignorance is terrible.
It is. Now, this is an optional question. Please tell me about your family.
I'll leave them out of the equation. I mean, they're a great family. I come from an awesome family. I maybe be wrong to leave them out because they very much encourage what I do. But, yeah, they're a great family. I got 2 sisters, 1 brother, great parents, and everybody's married, wife, My immediate family is my wife.
Okay. Well, then I am going to ask this question then. How do they inspire or support you?
Well, my wife is like forever my inspiration and support, like daily. Her and I actually work together. She helps run the business and gives me a lot of creative input and helps paint big projects when I'm painting them. So she's like definitely imperative in the equation of working. And then my family just, they always supported. And I've worked creatively for a lot of years, and pretty much my whole life of having to work. And, it hasn't been, it's obviously a lot of people don't encourage art. I think art is less encouraged, and my family always encouraged it. So I appreciate that.
How did you get interested in art?
I don't know. I think I just always had the interest, like I've always done things that are creative. I feel maybe skateboarding would be my first route into like culture that I felt I paid attention to culture and the scene and the energy, and I think that sort of brought me deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of things,
What drew you into skateboarding?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe the rebel side of things, those skate kids doing rebellious things.
Now, how did you get your training as an artist?
I mean, through trial and error, growing up painting, graffiti really was like, there was no training. It was, you just learned as a group of kids. But then I did end up, fortunately, going to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and I went there for graphic design. So I got trained as a designer. And then the painting I'm doing now is a combo of the design and the years of just learning how to paint on the street, and also the music that I spent a lot of time making. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just taking a note down.
Gotcha.
Now, where do you get the inspiration for your art?
I'm inspired by really I'd say the world around me and internally. I try to do both. Like, I feel externally, and then I try to, pull from a place of internal. So, I feel like the state of the world, being in New York, the humanity, the energy, the motion, I think I'm just inspired to produce whatever it is. Like, I need to make things, and I need to make things because that's what brings me joy, and that's what makes me feel like I'm living with a purpose if I'm working and I'm making things. I'm not good at consuming all the time. I have to produce.
Do you stick with one medium, or do you try out different things?
That depends on the timeline and how long we're talking. The last few years have been pretty much solely with paint. Previous to that is paint and music. So the medium switches, but right now I'd say the main medium is like, basically I try to take what I learn in the street and bring it into the studio, and I try to use the tools that I learned there. So it's like house paint and spray paint and, you know, all the raw materials, the rollers and the pans, all the shit that comes from Home Depot to make my paintings.
What kind of art excites you?
I think art that is most, how do I say it, like art that you can feel the humanity in. So I can respect technically sound painting, like I really do respect realism, but what I feel is work that has an energy to it, has a freedom to it, and has a confidence to it. And I think, so that could be abstract, that could be, you know, I don't know, it could be 3 marks on a painting. I just have to feel it. So I think I'm into artwork that I feel, not that I just technically respect.
What kind of art bores you?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't really think about art that bores me. I don't know. I mean, maybe here's the answer. Pop art that just recycles faces of famous people. I think that work is like you're taking someone who spent a lifetime to build up their creative output or their legacy, and then just taking their lifetime of hard work and their legacy and putting it on something else to make art. I just don't understand it, and I think pop art using famous people's faces, like not like Warhol did dope pop art and made commentary using things that existed in our culture. And you know, I think maybe he was an innovator of that. But I think at this point in time, like when I see street art, quote unquote street arty paintings with faces of famous people, that bores me, definitely.
Do you think artists have a responsibility to be moral, political, or socially engaged?
No, I think artists should do whatever they feel like doing. And if some of those are socially and politically engaged, that's great, but I don't think it's not anybody's duty to do that. It's just what I think, if that's what your soul says, then it's your duty. But as a society, like, we should just make work. Sometimes people just need to forget all that shit, and sometimes art, I think, will just pull you out of that, and that's okay. It doesn't have to touch on socio or political things, you know.
Do you think artists have a responsibility to explain or contextualize their art?
No. I think some people enjoy that, but I don't think so at all. I think artists has only responsibility to themselves. And until I'm not for, like, I don't know, I say that, and then I feel like if you make some artwork that's, let's say, like these films that are like, you know, all about killing people, like going around and just shooting people, and the super violent films, I do think we have a responsibility to make the world a better place. I feel maybe, I don't know, like, and some art maybe doesn't do that. But at the end of the day, like, maybe art is selfish and it transcends outside of that at some point, and some of us take it there, some of us don't, you know, but it's whatever, really, it's open.
Who are some artists you admire?
That's an interesting question. Or not interesting, but I don't know, like, who do I admire these days? Like, I don't know, I'd have to, like, really sit and write that out. But I think, I just, like I said before, like, I admire artists that are unique and are capturing, I don't know, just put good feeling into their work. There's so many people making so much good art presently that it's hard for me to, like, make a list. That list would be really long. I'd say in the past, like, maybe Pollock was one of my first to see, like, scale. It's interesting because my work maybe has elements of what he did, but the scale that he worked on, it really impacted me younger. And then the more I paint, the more people tell me about artists that I never knew about. Because I'm not trained in painting. I'm trained in design. I don't know much about the world of paint. But the more I paint and the more I'm around people, the more they put me onto artists that I love, you know. And I would say, like, if we went back, maybe like Franz Klein or Cy Twombly, those guys really, really speak to me when I see their work, you know.
Yep. How do you define street art?
I don't know. To be honest, it's not a term I love. Like, I've been doing this pre that word, before that word even existed, and I don't know. It's not my favorite word, but I would say it's become an aesthetic. It's no longer art that was from the street. Like, people are making quote unquote street art on canvases and saying this is street art, but they don't paint on the street and never painted on the street. So I think it's become this aesthetic that people are latching onto and use for marketing. But the truth, the word street art is art on the street. So it's a democratic art that's put out into the world for people to enjoy or to be touched by when it is living on the street, you know?
What would be your preferred term? Just art?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Like, I come from a time when it was graffiti, but I know that the schools before me, there's people that I really respect that hate that word graffiti, because that word is made from the mayor and the law, and that was a term to define a thing that was anti. So maybe writing or style writing or fine. I don't know. Street art to me is a very loaded word, and where I come from, it was graffiti versus street art. Like, we always had there was this thing, and now it's just become such a common household energy or term that it's taken on a life of its own, which is cool. I mean, I'm happy there's more art on the street, there's more people making work. I'm not anti the people doing it, but it's become a blanket word for a lot of stuff, I think.
Do you have a favorite piece of art that you've done?
Nah, I don't think so, to be honest. I mean, there's some that I feel capture memories, like every piece is a memory more than it is like a pretty painting. And I think some of the memories are some of, I'd say, like the highs, you know, like making paintings to me, really, some paintings reach a high in energy, and those paintings, I'm basically always chasing that high, like trying to get that same feeling I got when making certain paintings. So I do have some that have brought me into moments that were like, whoa, that really felt amazing, and I want every painting to feel like that when I make it. And I think those are the ones that stick in my mind. But there's a few of them, and you know, I don't particularly, I couldn't tell you exactly at this moment.
What messages are you trying to convey with your art?
In terms of messaging, I'd say that the main undertone of my work is maybe like a driving force forward in life. Like, as an artist, I feel like I have to tell myself all the time, like, and it's where I'm at now, but it's like, it's just, I don't know, rise up or sky's the limit or stay open. Like, all these things are like, I'm basically sort of creating guidelines to my life moving forward. So there's that. There's in almost all my work has a positive undertone to it, so that I just believe that. I think we're getting an audio loop here. Do you hear that? Oh, it's gone now. Okay, you still there. I believe that the work, like, resonates, and whether you can understand it or not, there's an intention behind it. So I try to always create from a place of good intention. So when I'm putting marks on the canvas and I'm working, I always really try to stay in that positive mindset. But when I take work to the street, I'll do a lot more. I'll do a lot of writing pieces based more on like socio and, you know, political things that are happening, because I think that's a better place for it to live in the street. But if you're gonna live with a peace of mind in your house or wherever you choose to live with it, like I wanted to push out a good energy. That's sort of my goal.
Do you work alone or with other people?
Can you say that again?
Do you work alone or with other people?
Most of the time I work alone, but I do collaborate with other people, and I've done some really, really cool projects that have brought me to different places because of these great people that I've worked with. My ideal is to work with people in different disciplines. Like, I like to make the paint, and I love working with photographers or people that are making dimensional stuff, but things outside of my discipline.
Now, why do you think it's important for people to get outside with their work?
To get outside with their work?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it's important. Did I say that it was important? Because I don't think, I just think people should...
It's a street kind of thing. I'm curious, so...
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I always, you know, I don't, back when I used to make music or whatever, like my whole trajectory in life, I've always put my work in front of people. And I look back 5 years later and I always kind of think like, damn, that was pretty whack. I should have not done that. But I'm a fan of watching people grow, and I like to put work out no matter what. I actually don't really like to make work that doesn't have the intention of living outside of where I'm making it. But I think some people, that's what they want to do, and they feel like making work and not showing it to the world, and that's cool too. I think whatever feels good is what we all should be doing, you know.
How do you find places to show off your work?
I don't know. They kind of, things come to me, you know, and I've just been fortunate to have opportunity, and one thing always leads to another. So I try to take what feels good and do my best every time, and then things just come from that.
Do you participate in traditional art shows in addition to doing street art?
Yeah, totally. I love doing, I do a fair amount of exhibitions, and I love doing solo exhibitions because I can really dive into an idea and a body of work and present it in a way that is my way of presenting it and allows me to really like fully work my artistry out. So yeah, I do murals in the street, I do gallery shows, I do projects with brands and businesses that are doing things that I believe in, and you know, I try to stay rounded in the work that I'm doing between studio, street, gallery, all that stuff.
When is your next exhibition?
When is the next? I have work in a bunch of shows. Like next week, I have work in a show in New York, and this 2018, I got some really awesome projects. Like I'm not in the space to talk about them right now, but I always got stuff going on. You know, if anybody. Like, you know, I just, online is all, you can always see what's up, you know.
Do you participate in festivals?
Not much. I'd say AR might be one of the first I've been involved in, or I'm going to be involved in. It's not a big thing that I do.
How do you earn a living?
Making art.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the dream for the artist, so I'm glad to hear that's the case.
Yeah, it's a really powerful, I feel very blessed, you know, and I definitely, that's what I do. I make paintings and paint walls and stuff.
What are your goals for yourself for the future?
What do I see? You say, I'm sorry, I broke up. What do I see for myself in the future?
What are your goals for yourself for the future?
The MoMA. No, I mean, really, for real. Like, I want to make work that lives a long time and that like transcends a lot of things. And you know, I love graffiti, I love street art, but my view is to keep pushing and to take it further. And you know, I also don't know what disciplines things will land in the future. I would like to cycle back into audio somehow and do music, bring some music back in, and maybe film, or I don't know, you know, like I try to stay pretty open, but I do see the MoMA and being, you know, just being a part of these institutions that are really powerful and showing work that has context and strength, you know.
What do you want your legacy to be?
It's a good question. I never thought about that. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. Like I don't want to work thinking about that ever. I just want to make the work, you know. And I guess we all work, and like some people I respected told me you should make work like you're going to die tomorrow every day and make the best work you possibly can. And you know, maybe we're all trying to get away from death by whatever we're doing to create a legacy. I just want the work to resonate, whatever that is, and however long that is. I don't know.
How would you describe your art to someone who's never seen it before?
I'd probably describe my art as post-graffiti, deconstruction, abstract lyrical impressionism.
Is there something in life that you want to do but haven't done yet?
There's a lot of things in life I want to do that I haven't done yet, for sure. Definitely.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like live in places like Paris and Hong Kong and swim with sharks in a cage and combine my work with architecture and make like 12 babies and have a harem of children. I don't know about 12 babies, but No, I definitely want to have a family, you know.
Well, let's see if your wife's on board for the dozen.
Say that again?
I was just making a joke. I just said, let's see if your wife's on board for the dozen.
Yeah, for real. I don't know about dozen. I feel like that's irresponsible for the state of the world. We're overpopulated. Maybe 2 would really be my max, but, you know, I don't know.
What do you like to do for fun?
I mean, I do it. I pretty much am fortunate to do it. I like to do it every single day, you know. So I like to be creative, and I'd say I like to explore and travel. But lately, I just really found joy in working and being in New York. And nature might be my other grounding aspect in life, like to get into nature and just tune out of this whole digital domain craziness world that we're existing in. But I like to make art, really.
What's one of your favorite things to do in New York?
Sit on a bench and watch the world, like people watching, wherever that may be. Every neighborhood's got different people watching.
What are your social media handles or websites?
Everything is biscosmith.com or at Bisco Smith. Google Bisco Smith. It's all there.
Are there any charities that you wish to mention?
I work with some organizations, one called Arts by the People, and another that I helped form years ago, Urban Art Beat. I'm doing some projects. Right now I have some work in something that's going to go to Ronald McDonald House. I don't know, I work with charities a lot, and there's a cool charity I'm working with that's coming up. We're going to do an event next month, and I can tell you what it is. It's interesting. It's called Shanti Bhavan, and it's like a fundraiser for building schools in India. And, you know, India's got like the ill class system, so it's hard to elevate out of the class. And if you go on Netflix, there's a whole documentary about this nonprofit organization. So I'm going to do some work with them. But I always try to, where I can, lend my work to help move good things forward.
When and where can we see your art next?
I guess that depends on the scale. Like if you're on the street, LA, New York, Miami, I have some pretty major pieces of mine, like or larger pieces, and gallery work, like I have nothing. I mean, there's pieces here and there all over the place, from Hong Kong to LA to Miami, New York. But in terms of like solo stuff at the moment, I don't know. I have no exhibitions on view right now.
Can you please tell me about the events in Florida?
Gonna go paint some walls in Jacksonville, and it's part of a festival called Art Republic, and I believe it's like it ties technology and art together, and there's a lot of programming happening. I'm gonna make some pieces that are based on the idea of storms and water rising, and sort of bring, just because Florida just went through that, and the world is getting crazier with that, Puerto Rico and all the islands, and just the work I'm going to do. I have these pieces sketched out that basically the undertone is like awareness to the environment.
What is the greatest compliment you could receive as an artist?
That is a good question. I don't know. Maybe like people that tell me they saw the work and then they were inspired to go and do something great, you know? Yeah, and like I made some pieces, these prints that were called Peace and Light, and like it was post-Trump's election, and you know, I think that the chaos of what was it called? What was the fight with the Native Americans in the water, the Standing Rock fight? And I think I made these pieces during Standing Rock, and you know, someone wrote me, they're like, I hung this on my wall, and I really needed like to be reminded about the peace and the light, and to hear the work brought someone that calm during the chaos and just like a peace of mind. That really felt good, you know, because I want to like go start a revolution and, you know, do some crazy shit. But the reality is, like, we have to live, and if my work can make impact, and, you know, I think, yeah, when the work feels like it made an impact on people, whatever that is, but hopefully positively, that's when it feels good.
What is something you'd like people to know about you?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that. I'll let the work do the talking on that one.
That's even better. Is there anything else you want to ask?
No, I think those are a lot of pretty good questions. I don't know. I don't have anything else to add. Yeah. Should be good.
Can you please send me some photos of your work and a couple photos of yourself?
Sure. Also, I have a pretty good, I don't know if it'd be easier for you, but my website has all that stuff on it. You can just pull it off, whatever you feel gravitated to.
Oh, great.
You know?
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. And if you find anything that, like, for some reason not the right size, you can let me know. But everything there, like, if you click into the paintings, or all the photos should be large enough for any kind of internet stuff. And then that way you can kind of feel what feels good to you, you know?
Great. I think I can. Well, it's been great
Cool.
talking to you. I can't wait to see more of your work. And also, do let me know where it's showing in New York.
Okay, I will.
Go see it.
All right, great. I'll add you. I have a little mailing list, so when the exhibitions happen and stuff, I'll add you to that. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for the energy.